Hello everybody and welcome, this is Comodin Cam. In today's video, I'm going to be ranking every Galvatron design from worst to best. And today, I'm joined by my good friend, ThatToyGuy.
Hello, that's me.
You know, it sounds like I've just picked someone random on the street, ThatToyGuy.
I know.
We've got a lot of Galvatrons today. We've got over 40 designs to rank. Surprisingly, there's not been a lot of Galvatrons, but we've got a good batch here that are going to be really interesting to look at.
Yes, many purple boys and then some silver ones.
So without further ado, let's dive straight into the tier names. First up, we've got a quote from Generation 1.
Long live Galvatron! Long live Galvatron!
Next up, we got a quote from Age of Extinction.
We shall meet again, Prime, for I am reborn.
Next up, we got a funny quote from Generation 1. I absolutely love this episode.
Get this box, and then I'll show what this is. Let me out!
Now we got one of my favorite quotes from Age of Extinction.
You have no soul. That is why I have no fear. You die.
Last but not least, well, you all know it.
Who disrupts my coronation?
Coronation, Starscream. This is bad comedy.
Megatron? Is that you?
Here's a hint.
Along with bad comedy, I'll add a bonus.
Well, all I can say is...
First up, we have the original Generation 1 toy box art Galvatron. Like I always say, I think these box arts have a certain charm to them, and I think this design in particular has a lot of charm to it as well.
I quite like it. I mean, I bought the Generation Selects version of the Kingdom one just because it was in this deco, because I like this deco a lot. I think the gray and the purple work a lot better than just being mostly purple. Like, it's one of my G1 holy grails is to get this Galvatron in this color scheme.
Yeah, and it actually looks like a fun toy to play with as well.
Yeah, he makes lights and sounds. He turns into a laser gun. It's neat.
Now let's move on to the cartoon version. Now there's a lot of renditions of this with a darker purple and a lighter purple. I personally prefer the darker purple. I feel like the movie version was good, but something about the darker purple kind of works on this design a bit better. It's had a lot of revisions and it's drawn very differently. Obviously, big difference with the cartoon and the movie. But overall, I think this is a solid revision from the original toy design.
The one thing that bothers me about this design, I like everything about it except for the legs, because someone pointed it out to me years ago and I can't unsee it, and I think I might ruin it for some people, but it looks like he's wearing tights with boots and he's got his underwear there.
Wow, hang on a minute. So we are going to knock the OG original Galvatron because it looks like he's wearing tights. Wonderful, you've ruined it for me as well. Great job. Great job. Now this Galvatron went through many revisions, and we have the first one here where I hate this head. It looks way too big.
It looks like Megatron wearing a hat, because you can see like the bucket head portion sticking out of the bottom, and then he's just got this like crown you get from Burger King hanging out on the top.
Then we have the early development of Galvatron, and honestly, he looks ill.
It's Galvatron, but he's been shot. He looks like he's supposed to be huge.
Yeah.
It looks like those are buildings on him. Like, he looks like Unicron.
Because the cartoon design was used a lot more and we like the darker purple, I'll put that in Long Live Galvatron, and the movie design, I'll put in Reborn.
I mean, G1's cool and it's fine, but there's other stuff that looks cool too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, see, that's a good point. Doesn't stop the dislike ratio going, you know, but at least you said it. At least you said it. Obviously, we're putting the early design in bad comedy, right?
Yeah, because it's cool, but it's weird.
Generally dog shit. All right, next up, we have Galvatron Second. This is for Marvel US, and I actually think it works for a second version of Galvatron. I believe this was the Time Traveler Galvatron from the future.
I like it. I really like the cannon. I think the cannon mode looks superb, but the robot, the way that it's drawn, it looks extremely shiny. You can also see the way they drew it. He's got an ass cheek.
Oh, it's just poking out.
Yeah.
It looks like he's holding a vase, actually. That looks like a vase.
Yeah, it's like he's trying not to break it. He's like, I need to deliver this
Next up, we have, without a doubt, one of my favourite Galvatrons of all time.
This is Unicorn. The Earth will soon be a part of me.
This was such a genius idea. Long live Galvatron.
Yes, he lives there forever.
I absolutely love his cannon just poking out. Oh, it's so bad. Honestly, it's not really bad comedy. I think he deserves his own tier, to be fair.
Just fat Galvatron be a tier.
Yeah. All right, next up we got Transformers Gum Galvatron. King Carrot.
It does. Not even just the cannon, but also the arms look like carrots. Like baby carrots.
Yeah. Hasbro were really thinking strong with this one. We have Lava Bath Galvatron.
That looks like if I tried to cosplay as Galvatron.
Next up we have a parody deformed Galvatron.
That is adorable.
I want to stomp on it.
Bruh.
We got Galvatron as a watch.
Now, I used to have something like this when I was little.
Did you get bullied at school?
Yes. I had an Optimus Prime thing from this. It was a knockoff, but I had one of these that I won at like a fair. It was really cool because if you got bored in class, which I did a lot, you just pick it up and you'd have a little Optimus Prime on your desk. In Galvatron colors, I think it looks really cool. However, is that the fusion cannon? That's that red thing?
Hold on, I was just trying to reel from the fact that your parents got you a knockoff Optimus Prime. To be fair, I was going to say, he is reborn as a watch. Alright, next up we've got Beast Wars 2nd Galvatron. I mean, it's something new and refreshing, all the same.
I absolutely love this Galvatron design. The cape, the blades, the alt modes. I mean, he does turn into a tank that literally has a schlong on the front, but it's still really cool. I definitely put this one in a long-lived Galvatron. Like, that's going up there.
I love how he's got guns for kneecaps.
Yes, he can literally kneecap you.
Next up, we've got 2001 Robots in Disguise Galvatron. Now, this is where the trend started with the redeco, just basically Megatron, but just a different color.
I love when so Galvatron in purple is cool, but Galvatron in white is just, I don't know, it just hits really well.
I would have knocked it off because it is just a repaint. There's nothing new or interesting to the design.
I know. I think actually they changed the tooling on this toy too, because the original Megatron had, I think, 6 modes or 7 or something like that, and then this one had 10.
I will put it in long live because these colors slap. Next up, we have Armada Galvatron. Over the years, I hated this color. It just didn't make sense to me as a kid why he would go to these colors. I've kind of warmed up to it.
I know they're trying to do 2 different shades of purple there on the torso, but it doesn't really work that well. It just makes it look like he's entirely purple and like they forgot something.
Yeah.
I like his head. I think his head is still, it looks really cool.
Next up, we've got Energon Galvatron. Now, the thing is, it's kind of a reverse. The colors on this work better than the original Megatron colors.
I absolutely adore the figure. I think it's neat. It doesn't hold up to modern standards if you're looking at articulation, but it's just so much fun. And the purple they use, not only in the toy, but in the show as well, I think just helps it stand out a lot.
Yeah, they were definitely trying to go with G1 Galvatron when they made this toy. And out of all the Energon toys, I actually really wanted to own this.
And that design clearly was made for Galvatron, the basic body, not Megatron, because it doesn't suit Megatron. But when he switches, it makes it pop. I'm a little biased towards it because I have so much fun with the toy.
Moving on, next we got Cybertron Galvatron. Now they did a complete reverse when it came to Energon. This feels like Megatron, but the original Megatron colors feel like Galvatron. Even though those colors were completely messy, and this one is far, plain. The only thing purple is his face and the insignia.
The fact that that's Galvatron and the other one was Megatron, I feel like it should have, you're right, and it should have been switched. It doesn't really work as Galvatron to me.
Next up, we've got Universe Classics Galvatron.
Yeah, the Voyager that wasn't a Voyager. They weren't able to make this thing as big as they wanted to, so they scaled it down to a deluxe, but it was supposed to have a 3rd spider tank mode.
Oh yeah, obviously they couldn't do it.
Yeah, so that's where that little weird 3rd mode comes from. I believe that's not even in the instructions. I could be wrong though.
In a way, it fits in bad comedy really, because it is laughable.
Yeah, it's so bad it's funny.
We got Alternity Galvatron. I mean, yeah, he actually looks like a samurai.
But I think it looks neat. It's definitely not something I would buy because I had the GTR Prime that went alongside this, and that was terrible.
I mean, just looking at the car, it feels like Barbie owns this, or someone Bratz.
But it does look. I love the metallic purple. I think on the robot it looks cool. On the car it doesn't look that great. The purple, like you said, it looks like a Barbie toy car type thing.
Next up, we have a Shire Glass design that I actually really like. I think this is a really good Galvatron. I know it's a redeco of a previous toy, but it works so well on him.
So that is a redeco. It's a redeco of the Cybertron evac mold. The toy doesn't look nearly as good as this artwork. The toy looks fine, but the artwork here looks amazing.
I wouldn't have known it was a redeco, honestly. And I just like the blade on his arms.
I like how the purple they used. It's not like fully purple. It's mixed with a little bit of blue, and it just, I don't know, it works with that off-white that his legs are.
In a way, he is reborn. Next up, we've got Mini Mate's Galvatron.
Whoa.
He looks like
A kid in a costume.
yeah. I feel like he's just like, I'm looking down and he's just screaming at me and I just want to kick him over the fence. Alright, next up we've got Movie Galvatron. Galvatron appeared way before Age of Extinction. Yes, there was an Autobot Stronghold game and he was one of the characters in that. I don't really get it. He was part of that game and this is what he looked like. Now you can clearly tell 2007 movie Megatron just redecoed. They made the effort with the cannon on the far left there. It looks disgusting.
It looks weird. Again, he's got a carrot on his arm and he's got carrots growing under his back.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a drain pipe on his arm. Alright, next up we've got Age of Extinction Galvatron. Now this design is heavily mixed, but honestly, I like it because it's so different, and I actually think it does work as Galvatron. And the most interesting thing about this design is the toys that have come about it, actually. Not so much the design itself, because I actually think it's pretty cool. I actually kind of dig the hole in the chest, and the head sculpt is actually pretty interesting. It is a little bit too, how to explain it, lining, like there's a lot of pipes. It looks like he's just full of pipes, basically. But I actually think it's really cool, and it's one of the most standout designs.
I absolutely adore this design. This is one of my top 10 or top 5 actually Bayverse designs. I'd probably put it just under Nitro Zeus. Like I really like it. I know it's a bit weird. It's definitely not Galvatron when you first think about it because it's not purple. There's no crown. He's got a big hole in his chest. He transforms like Lego. But it looks brutish and badass, and that's what the film designs were going for. So I think it really achieves what it was trying to do. All the pipes and things do look a bit weird around it, but it is man-made, so I kind of see that as like that's just humans trying to figure out how to get everything pumped to everywhere else, and it's not as elegant as the other robots because they weren't made by humans.
See, thing is, I don't consider it lazy as much as I just wanted to see it transform normally.
I give this design like a 9.5 out of 10, just overall.
Well, we've just talked about so much praise, and now it's time to talk about absolute dog shit. Big Chungus.
Chungus Galvatron.
Let's just get these out of the way. We've got Chungus Galvatron, and then we've got the Voyager. I absolutely hated this. It's when I saw it in Toys R Us, I was like, what? This isn't Transformers. It's just like Alien vs Predator.
It doesn't work as so. I know I saw a lot of people when the Studio Series came out going like, "Ah, no, that sucks. The old one was better." Blah blah blah. But it's missing paint. It has brown in it for some reason. I don't understand that. You can't move the arms back at all. It doesn't really quote unquote transform. Well, it does, but it's not fun. It's just tucking everything away.
I'm disappointed it doesn't transform into the particles, and I expected Hasbro's engineering to be upgraded a little bit. I mean, if it's not what it is on the movie, then I don't want to buy it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Alright, next up we have a Creo Age of Extinction Galvatron. We've got a whole bunch of gremlins here.
It's funny. He needs to brush his teeth, first of all. He looks like he's got eye infection.
Well, we've got that when he's like 5 years old, and now we've got him in his adolescence.
I like the gun because they gave it like an actual magazine sticking out the bottom, but that's just weird.
He's got no soul.
Yeah.
He's got no soul. Well, next one is actually adorable. I actually really like this one a lot. We've got the original Creo G1 Galvatron. Now it's simple, it's nice, and it's actually got the little cannon as well.
I like the wheels. There's a store that actually still sells these close by. They're $5, but they're really cool, and I might pick a couple of them up.
Next up, we got Galvatron from Transformers Animated. Yes, Derek Joe Wyatt did do a design of Galvatron, and honestly, I love it. I know it's stripped from Generation 1, but I like how buff he is. I like the cannon as well. I like the animated style, so of course, I'm going to like a G1 update.
I didn't know this existed until 12 seconds ago, but that he looks like a buff bodybuilder that you would not want to be on the bad side of. I think he just works as like a tyrant ruler.
Next up, we got a vinyl Galvatron, and this looks disgusting.
I love how in that picture, the second box, that Ultra Magnus is just yellowing in there.
Next up, we got Titan's Return Galvatron. I would consider a decent modern take on Galvatron. I know a lot of people didn't like this due to the triple changing aspect of it, which was like, yeah, I know, that could have been without. But I think it's still alright, and I kind of like his chest area. Like I said, it's just a decent modern take.
Yeah, like that artwork looks insane, and the toy looks nothing like that. I mean, the toy's just alright, I have it, and Galvatron turns into a jet that doesn't look anything like a jet except for its cockpit. It's just a very weird figure.
I mean, I'll throw it in for mix. This is like the Forged to Fight version of that design. They kind of stylize it a bit more. I don't like how big the cannon is, though, how it's animated. But, I mean, for a modern take of Galvatron, it's alright.
Yeah, I like how they stylize the proportions in Forged to Fight. Like, his arms are bigger, his lower legs are bigger. If he didn't have that cockpit, I would probably have enjoyed the toy a lot more.
Next up, we've got Earth Wars Galvatron.
Holy.
This is a blocky. This is basically square Galvatron. I've never seen him look more square in my whole life. It's that chest that does it in for me. It's like, what the hell is he? He looks like he's just gained weight.
You can tell it's trying to go for the Titan's Return design, the way that they did the back of the cannon and the top of the, like, that little wing thing there. But I don't know what's happening with that robot. It's like he just did chest for a week at the gym.
Yeah, I love how tiny his gun is as well. Like the orange part is like it's just poking out.
It's not. It's all the wrong parts are substantial. Like the cannon's not substantial, the legs are not substantial, but the chest is.
Next up, we've got Tiny Titans Galvatron, and you know what? Out of all of them, I actually really like this one. I think this one's pretty cool.
I like that. I think that design in general is just really neat. You notice there that his hand, where his cannon is, he has a handle for his cannon. I think that's a pretty interesting idea where he has to manually fire it.
We got Beast Wars Uprising Galvatron. Now, if you couldn't tell, this is based on Beast Wars 2nd Galvatron, but at the same time, just Beast Hunters Optimus Prime.
Yeah, that's just strange.
This is the closest you're ever going to get to a Beast Wars 2nd design again.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If this was a toy in that mold, I don't think I'd go buy it.
Alright, next up we've got the Battle Tactics Galvatrons. I'm just going to throw all of them in because, well, I don't think our opinions are going to change that much.
Alright, have you seen or read Alice in Wonderland?
Of course I have, I'm British.
Yeah, you know the Queen of Hearts?
Yeah, it looks like a Queen of Hearts.
Massive head.
Alright, next up we got our first IDW Galvatron, and honestly, this design, it's amazing. I love the head, the detailing, like the lining. I mean, IDW always do a fantastic job when it comes to artwork.
Give me a toy of that. I want that's cool.
Well, the next one actually I really like. This works for me. This is his Earth mode for RID Season 2.
That's the one. I have that comic actually. That's where I recognize the design. It's a really cool. It looks like they just took the Universe 2008 one and made it actually work, because he's a gray tank and it just looks really cool. That's another thing I'd want a toy of. Make that. You gave us IDW Blur. Make that.
Next up, we got another IDW Galvatron, and this is an absolute brute. I would not want to face this guy in the pits of Kaon. Like, wow.
That's the handgun that the original toy came with, I believe. They decided to put that as the fusion cannon, which I think just works. He's like this barbarian-style Galvatron in that, because I also have that issue, and I love it. That's another one I'd put in Long Live, because IDW just knocked it out of the park with all of their Galvatrons.
I wanted to throw in a Galvatron design that people probably didn't know about. This is an unused design for the Transformers G.I. Joe Cobra comic, and I think this looks pretty badass. I mean, it's very organic looking, a bit of a Beast Wars kind of style as well. Just imagine this in colours. Please, someone, do this in colours.
I like how the cannon is made up of claws. It looks like it's supposed to be like a beast type thing hybrid, because his knees look like they have eyeballs on them. That is something I definitely would not want to turn around and see in a dark alleyway.
Alright, next up we've got War for Cybertron Kingdom Galvatron. Now this is, in my opinion, just Generation 1, but a really good updated model of our original design. Toy-wise, I know you've probably got a lot to say on it. I'm just going to kind of summarize it all up as a whole. It's alright. I didn't like how it was animated in the actual show. I thought it looked a bit too weird for me. I know, I just didn't like the animation so much for Galvatron. He looks like the most polished turd I've ever seen. But other than that, the toy actually looks really cool.
I think it's a cool toy. I absolutely despise the design they did in the show, because it just... He looked weird. He looked like he had a long neck and a very smooth head, and it didn't fit with the rest of War for Cybertron's aesthetic in the show. It was like Bumblebee, because they didn't have an alt mode for him at the time. So he just was a robot that was just made up, and it looked very strange. But the toy, again, I have the G1 toy color version of this, and I really like that figure. I do want to get the Legacy one at some point, but I don't feel like spending $77 before tax on it.
Oh, why would you? Next up, we have, of course, Angry Birds Galvatron.
Ooh, I like his asymmetry. That's cool.
No, you don't.
Is that supposed to be a fusion between Age of Extinction and G1?
I like how their heads pop out of their vehicle modes.
I like the cannon, because it's the Age of Extinction cannon, but done in G1. So that's neat. It just looks weird being a fusion of those two designs that don't fit together in the slightest. I'd put it in bad comedy, because while it is kind of it's still funny.
Oh, gee, you think? What makes you think I'm going to put this any higher? Alright, last but not least, let's talk about some fan arts, because oftentimes some fan arts are better than original designs themselves. Next up, we've got fan art by DeviantArt user Chris Smith DW. Now, I love this design mostly because I would have never have assumed the War for Cybertron Megatron would have worked so well with Galvatron. A few touch-ups here and there with the colours, it just slaps.
That works. That looks cool. I don't know, I like it. It's different but familiar at the same time. It strikes that balance, and I think he does it quite well.
Next up, we got artwork from ArtStation user James Weatherall, and honestly, I love this design. This is an absolute menace. Like this, wow, the cannon's so big. I love the legs as well, and I know the head's kind of a bit small, but I like it. He also did a version of Megatron on this style as well.
Have you seen the new Buzz Lightyear film?
No, don't ruin it. It don't look like Zurg.
I really like it. Well, personally, I like the new Zurg design. It looks menacing and evil, and I really like that.
I think it's fair to say that nobody wants to go up against this guy. Next up, we've got artwork from the amazing Spino. This is his Transformers reanimated Galvatron, and yes, it's definitely reanimated. It gives me Mindwipe / Soundwave vibes from Transformers Prime. Very scary, and wow, I actually really like this. But it's like it's confusing. It's a brand new, fresh design, and I like the design. But Galvatron, I don't know if I'd see it as Galvatron, but it's an interesting take, and well, like it says, it's reanimated.
Give me a toy of that, please. That is so cool. I'm assuming that's supposed to be Megatron there at the top right, just to show you like what Galvatron will look like. That Megatron just works, because there's Stealth Bomber Megatron that exists, and I guess this could be kind of like a Galvatron to that.
Well, I was going to say, when you look at the Megatron design and then the Galvatron, it makes more sense, and you kind of see it more as Galvatron. It's like, okay, it's good that you have that side by side. Next up, we got art from a user called Slade Prime 1. Now, this is an artist I've wanted to include on this tier list for a while now, because I've been really interested on how they make their art. Like, I don't know what kind of program it is, but it's very different compared to any other kind of art that I've seen before. And wow, this Galvatron looks really cool. A really good design. It's got that anime look proportions, and the torso and chest is a little bit small, but I actually think it works for their style after seeing so much of their artwork already. Just wow, really impressive.
Brand spanking new take on Galvatron. Yeah, that does look cool. I like the cannon. That, if you gave Galvatron that as a cannon, I feel like that just fits. It's sort of like those exaggerated anime-esque proportions you see more commonly in that sort of style. That I like that. I think it looks cool.
So there we have it, guys. Every Galvatron design ranked from worst to best. Now, what would you say is your all-time favorite Galvatron design if you had to just pick one?
Me?
Who else?
Well, I thought you were asking the audience because you were doing the whole audience thing. I'm going to be the elephant in the room and go Age of Extinction.
Ooh, controversial opinion. Ooh. No, actually, yeah, no, this is a problem. I don't know which IDW. I don't know if I should go with the Earth Tank mode or the purple one that I was praising so much earlier. Ah, screw it. I'll go with the purple one. So there we have it, guys. That's our ranking. Of course, share me in the comment section below which Galvatron is your personal favourite. For more content just like this, be sure to subscribe and click on that notification bell to get all updates instantly. Once again, thanks to ThatToyGuy for joining me on this tier list. I mean, if you haven't already, check out his channel. He does really good toy reviews. And honestly, it's been really amazing, dude, watching you grow. It really does my spark good to see you thriving.
Well, thank you.
So if you haven't already, guys, check him out. He's pretty cool. He's pretty epic.
Yeah, I use that word a little too much.
Until the next video, this is me and ThatToyGuy signing off.
Thank you for having me. It was really fun, and go grab yourself a slice of pizza.
Do it.